All right, loves, welcome to tonight's team call. My name is Corey Mayo. I am your CEO and founder of Team Living Healthy and Fit. It is Wednesday, June 28th of 2017, and tonight we're going to be talking about fear and different ways that you can overcome fear. Now I can mute you. I got you muted. Hey, love. All right, so let me switch over here. So as an entrepreneur, it's going to be almost normal that we have self-doubt, that we have reservations, that we have fear. Those are all forms of fear standing in our way. Self-comparison, not being where you want to be, different things that hold you back are typically all rooting from fear, okay? So when you become an entrepreneur, you're going to face fear. You're going to have to come to face to face with the uncertainty, and you're going to wonder if you're going to derail or off course. There is the added risk of public failure, but we can choose to face the fear or even welcome the fear. Every successful person you can think of has had fears, but has also mastered facing the fears. So anyone, you guys, like, we all have fears and we all have times of self-doubt, right? Bill Gates had times of fear. Meg Wazinski had times of fear. The book that I've been reading, Darren Hardy, sorry, his name just slipped my mind. All had fears, but they're crazy successful people, right? And I threw Meg in there because she's a normal person and a lot of you know her. So it's more relatable to you, or at least it is for me, to relate to someone who you know who has been crazy successful and moved themselves forward and surpassed those self-doubts and those fears than it is like for Bill Gates or Darren Hardy or Tony Robbins or those types of people, because we really don't know them on a personal level, right? So what we're going to talk about tonight is fear. And the definition of fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. So I'm going to say that again. An unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. Chris Downing actually defines fear as false evidence appearing real. So I want you to kind of think of that as we're going through this call, because the definition of fear is the belief that someone or something is dangerous. And Chris Downing shares that it's the false evidence appearing real. Fear is not real, you guys. It's a feeling, right? You get sweaty hands, your heart starts to pound and your heart rate starts going up and you start to get nervous and you start to conjure up all these things in your mind that are going to happen, but it's not an actual physical thing or an action. It's an illusion of our mind. It's something that we build up in our mind. So those who have been successful, who have pushed through their fears, can be seen as courageous. What is courageous? Does that mean that there's an absence of fear and that they didn't face any fear and that they just had it easier? Because a lot of times we tend to justify our fears, right? We feed into them and we justify that we have fear and say that, well, they had it easier, or they didn't have kids to worry about, or they're younger, or they're more fit, or they had a better health and fitness journey, or they had a decent income to start with, or they had a better background than me. They didn't have my struggles. Those are all things that we conjure up in our mind to justify the fears that we are feeling personally, to solidify that they had it easier than we did. It's not that they had it easier, because everybody has self-doubt, everybody has fear, everybody has things that hold them back. But what sets the successful people apart from those of us who are struggling to move forward is the fact that they are courageous. And courageous doesn't mean that they didn't have fear. It means that they welcomed fear. It means that they started to create new habits to overcome that fear. Okay? So for example, that they used in the book that I've been listening to is two people are looking at the same exact dog, okay? We'll use a German Shepherd as an example. One person looks at the dog and says, oh my God, like all these fears start flooding their mind, that the dog is vicious, it's gonna bite, that it's mean, it's a horrible animal, and it's going to hurt them. Another person walks up and looks at the same exact dog and says, oh my God, that dog is beautiful, and thinks of cuddling and love and compassion and comfort. It's something that we build up in our minds because of something that we are afraid of, or something that has maybe happened that's held us back in the past, okay? So why does that happen? Well, if we think back to primitive times, our ancestors were walking around this earth, and I know this seems totally far-fetched because it was so long ago, but our ancestors were walking around and there were lions and tigers and panthers and all these different animals that could potentially kill them, right? So in their mind, our brains have this trigger, this sense that something bad is going to happen, and it tries to kind of create that fight or flight mechanism in us. That's survival. The people who survived those times are the people who had the quickest response, right? The people whose brains were quick enough to see all of that danger coming towards them. You guys, we don't have those dangers anymore. There's not going to be a panther unless you live in the freaking hillbilly hick woods somewhere up in the mountains. There's not going to be a panther jumping out at you, right? We have modern society, but yet our brains still have that primitive instinct. So when we think about things that kind of scare us, our brain automatically goes back to that primitive time where it's starting to conjure up all these emotions that hold us back. But in reality, we're not going to die if we invite somebody. We're not going to die if we pick up the phone and start a conversation with somebody. But our heart and our mind starts to go that way, and our heart starts to pump, and our hands get sweaty, and we get all nervous, and it's just easier to walk away from it and to let our brain settle down. But what we're going to talk about tonight is how to face that uncertainty, to face that fear, and to create habits to push through them rather than retreat and walk away. Because again, what is it? It's false evidence appearing to be real, you guys. It's not even real. It's an illusion of our minds. So it's time to modernize our brains and create some new habits, okay? So tonight I have 6 brain hacks to help you overcome the false evidence appearing to be real, otherwise known as fear. Number 1 is to get real. Get real with yourself and understand that, like, sending a friend request, starting a new conversation, inviting someone to join you in a challenge group or to join you in a coaching opportunity is not going to result in death, you guys. It's something that's going to, they're either going to say yes or they're going to say no. They're either going to accept your friendship or they're not, right? It's not something that is going to totally erase you as a person on this earth. But we allow that to kind of take over. So let's get real with ourselves and not allow that to take over, not allow those emotions to take over. Because what happens is once we face the realistic emotions that can come out of it, we start to understand that it is an illusion of our mind, right? It's not something that's actually going to happen, that worst case scenario, right? So let's get real with ourselves. That's number 1, okay? Number 2, it's the fear of the fear that gives you fear. It's the fear of fear that actually gives you fear. Oddly enough, it's not even the act of inviting. Okay, we need to go ask Daddy. Oddly enough, it's not even the act of inviting that gives you the fear. It's the emotions that you start to feel in the anticipation, right? It's the what if, or what are they going to say, or what is going to happen. But the thing is that once we're in the act of something, all that anticipation goes away, okay? So that leads me into number 3, which is the 20 seconds of courage. And remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is facing the fear, okay? So the 20 seconds of fear, that means to start reprogramming our minds is to start facing that fear and diving in, okay? No longer avoiding it. So it takes 20 seconds for you to shut off your mind and start typing the invite message, okay? To send that friend request. Because what happens is all that anticipation, the emotions that you're building up, that you're allowing to kind of take over and take hold of you and why you're not moving forward, actually completely dissipates once you're in the action of doing it. It's the anticipation before you actually take the action to move forward, before you dive into the task. So, for example, they were talking about how they've done research with people who jump out of airplanes, okay? Some people get a thrill out of that, and some people, if you're like me, you're like, no freaking way, right? So they did this study where when they were going up in the airplane to skydive, as you're going up, the people's heart rate would actually increase significantly the more anticipation that built. The higher up that they went in the plane, the closer it got to time to jump, the anticipation was building and their heart rates would get significantly higher, okay? It takes less than 20 seconds for you to actually jump out of that plane, right? So there's your 20 seconds of courage to just dive into the action, okay? Once they got through that 20 seconds and they jumped, their heart rate significantly decreased once they were in the action, proving that it's just the anticipation of the unknown, the uncertainty, what's going to happen is what the fear is allowing your heart rate to build up. So we're not jumping out of planes, you guys. We're simply touching people's lives by reaching out and saying hello. And I know that for some of us, that's really scary at first. But if we can be courageous for 20 seconds and reach out to somebody, once we're in that act, we've overcome that anticipation. We are already in the task and diving into reaching out and connecting with that person, okay? So try doing that, whatever you fear, whatever is something that you are not excited about doing. Maybe it's inviting, maybe it's sending friend requests, maybe it's saying hello to someone in person and starting a conversation. I invite you to take 3 times a day, take 20 seconds, that's less than a minute, you guys, of your entire day, to dive in to the action and be courageous for that 20 seconds and step outside of your comfort zone and face that uncertainty. Okay, so focus on the tasks, not the outcome. Outcome is number 4. So focusing on the tasks, not the outcome. So our brains tend to be drama queens. It will make a mountain out of an anthill. So an example that they used here was a family went shopping. A mom and dad went shopping with their daughter and they split up, and the dad and daughter went to one store and the mom went to another store, okay? And the daughter said, while shopping with the dad for a little bit, I'm going to go out and meet mom where we're supposed to meet her, because they had a place that they were going to meet. And he said, okay. So he comes out of the store a few minutes later and the daughter's not there, but the wife is. And he says, well, where's so-and-so? And she says, well, I thought she was with you. And he said, well, she was, but she said that she was going to come out and meet you first. So then they start to panic a little bit. They start looking around, they scan the entire area. And after 2 minutes, they're already starting to ask people around them, have you seen my daughter? This is what she was wearing, starting to ask people around them. And after 5 or 6 minutes, they have security guards and store managers coming out and trying to help them find their daughter. Meanwhile, the fear and anticipation of the worst things possible start going through their minds, and they're starting to panic. And they don't know where she is, what's happening to her, but without going into detail because my kids are sitting right next to me. As a mom, most of you women know, you're thinking the worst, that she's taken, that somebody's doing something bad to her. It can get really scary. So their minds start conjuring up all these worst case scenarios and building anticipation because there's uncertainty, okay? After 12 minutes of waiting, the daughter walks up and just says, "Hey guys, what's going on?" Has no idea why all these people are surrounding her parents and her parents are frantic. In a matter of 12 minutes, their minds went from, perfectly fine and normal to this super scary scenario and not knowing where their daughter was because of the anticipation of something that wasn't happening was happening to their daughter, okay? It's to point out that we can't focus on the uncertainty all the time, okay? Our brains will automatically go there. We have to start retraining our brains to think of the positive outcomes and to be more realistic, get real, right? To be like number one. So that leads us into number 5, which is to habituate yourself to fear. So much like getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more we practice facing our fears of connecting, inviting, sharing more, it becomes our habit. You actually start to enjoy it, okay? The less we fear and the more we enjoy the process. So I don't mean to call you out, Karina, but I'm going to use you for an example. I know that adding people to your list and starting new conversations was something that was very uncomfortable for you for a long time. And not too long ago, you shared that now that you've been doing it consistently for, 4 or 5 weeks on our morning power hours, that it's something that you enjoy doing. You enjoy connecting with new people and having those new conversations. So it's taking that 20 seconds to dive into that action and face that fear of the uncertainty and focusing on the task, right? Not what's going to happen. Because in our situation as coaches, the worst case scenario is they say no, or they aren't interested, or they don't accept your friend request. Like, that's not earth-shattering, you guys. But when they do accept, or when they do say yes, you can be life-changing for them. And that's what we need to focus on. The last one, and number 6, is make fear and failure fun. So the more that you get excited about failing forward, the more success you're going to have, because the more you're going to give yourself, the more opportunities you're going to give yourself to grow. Darren Hardy explains that success and failure are like a pendulum. When you fail small, you learn small, so then you have small success, okay? From that small failure, the pendulum will swing back and you will have small success. When you start to fail on a larger level, when you start to push the limits and to grow and expand yourself and fail at a faster rate, so hearing more no's, talking to more people, when you start to fail at a higher rate, your success is that pendulum swing is going to be more significant, right? So your pendulum is going to swing back to the other side and you're going to have greater success. So I know that overcoming fear can be challenging, but remember, it's a false, false evidence appearing to be real. It's just an illusion of our mind. It's not something that's real. So taking these 6 steps, and I'll say them again. Number 1 is getting real. Number 2, it's the fear of fear that gives you fear. Number 3, using the 20 seconds of courage rule, dive into the task. Number 4, focus on the tasks, not the outcome. So focus on taking that action in that 20 seconds, okay? Number 5 is habituate yourself to fear. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Get comfortable with learning and growing and failing, but you're failing forward. The only time you ever fail is when you walk away and you quit. Anything else is an opportunity to grow and learn. And then make failure fun. start kind of challenging yourself. Fail at a faster rate. Be excited about a challenge that you're facing and allow yourself to grow from that. That's all I have for tonight, girls. That went pretty quick. Does any of that make sense or kind of relate to any of you? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you have not yet, I did a very quick overview and kind of my interpretation of one chapter of this book, but you guys, The Entrepreneur Roller Coaster by Darren Hardy is phenomenal. It has been an awesome, awesome, awesome read. Hey, baby. Happy birthday. I'm sorry I missed your birthday party.
Okay, so now. It was my birthday.
It was your birthday, I know. I'm sorry we missed the party. We were out of town.
It's okay. It's okay.
Love you.
I love you. Orcus. Orcus.
Hey,
Okay. What's my melon? What?
So do any of you have any questions? Or anything that kind of stuck out to you? No? Nothing? Nobody? Does it kind of make sense though to like get real with yourself that like our brains, that's just how they're programmed. So we almost have to, like I said, we're no longer in primitive times where like a panther or a lion is going to be chasing your ass. If there is, then I don't know where you live. But here in Ohio, we don't have that problem. So it's just learning to reprogram yourself, right? It's just learning to push past those things that are holding you back. Makes lots of sense, says Marguerite. So like I said, if you haven't yet checked out the Entrepreneur Roller Coaster, I strongly encourage you to do so because it's a really, really good book. And it's just, for me, it's making a lot of sense. So I think that it might help. I've got a lot of reprogramming to do. It's one step at a time though, you guys. Like, and there's going to be, it's just like in the business or like in your health and fitness journey, you're going to have ebbs and flows, right? There's going to be times that you're on your A game and you're crushing it and you feel amazing. And then there's going to be times that you kind of are reserved and don't feel as great about the progress you're making. It's the same thing. So with facing your fears, maybe you're afraid to connect with new friends. Maybe you're afraid to invite. Maybe you're afraid to share the coaching opportunity. The more you practice, the easier it becomes. The more you practice, the more of a habit it becomes. And it's no longer a fear. And then that's when you can start growing and moving on to the next thing, right? It's not something that's holding you back anymore. It's just like in school, like you don't know how to do certain math problems. Like you don't know algebra. It's not something that you just know. It's something you have to teach yourself. So this is the same thing. You just have to, we're adults now and we think that, oh, well, we don't have to go to school or learn or grow. Well, the reality is, if you really want to be successful and have greater things than what you have right now, you're going to have to grow to a different place than where you are right now. That doesn't mean that you're not an intelligent, creative, awesome person. It just means that you are at a certain place. And if you feel stagnant or stuck, it means that you know you have greater potential and you just have to tap into that. And the way we tap into that is by learning and growing and stretching ourselves a little bit more to grow. Okay? All right, cool. So I do have 2 quick announcements. Number 1 is next, if you're not learning your guide, yes, Tony Robbins, for sure. Love that. Number 1 is Tammy Rompey, which is my success partner. She is going to be hosting our team call next Wednesday on the 5th. Okay, and I'm really excited for her to share with you guys because she kills Success Club. Like she has coming out of the gate before she even knew what she was doing as a coach. She kills Success Club every single month. But what's more important is that she's a stay-at-home mom full-time with 3 children, and her husband works in the oil fields and is gone at least 3 weeks out of the month. So she's pretty much a single mom of 3 kids wrecking her business. So what I asked her to share with you girls is how she dedicates her time. How does she allocate her time being at home? Because I know that like on the days that I'm home now, you get distracted by so many things. Laundry needs done, the house needs cleaned, dishes need done, dinner needs made, whatever. Like there's 10,000 things on your list always, right? So how to allocate your time properly to maximize your time and to make sure you're reaching Success Club every month. So you will definitely want to be on that call. She is amazing. I love her to pieces and she's a rock star. So I'm excited for that. And then we are also going to her and I are going to co-host again a What is Coaching call on July 17th. So I'm probably going to be extremely tired because it's the Monday after Summit, but it's, I think, a perfect opportunity for those of us going to Summit. We're going to be posting pictures. People are going to be excited and interested. Yeah, I know. I was going to say it is your birthday. People are going to be excited and interested in what you've been posting and sharing about. And for those of you who are not going, talk about that. Like, talk about how you're excited to go next year and how you love watching the stuff that we are all getting to do. And, you know, just if that's how you're feeling, share that with people to kind of conjure up some interest. And then we will host a What is Coaching call that Monday so that we are tapping into those people who are interested and who want to learn more information right away when we come back from Summit. We're kind of, Karina knows, you're like on a buzz when you come back. You have this, your cup is filled back up and you just have this explosive energy to share with people. So that is going to be going down July 17th. So please be sure to start your list and start kind of connecting with people. If you haven't connected with those people that you're putting on that list in a while, start connecting with them again and building that relationship. And then we'll want to start inviting here in the next week or two to join us in that. And I will get an event made so that we can invite to that as well. Okay? All right, cool, girls. I know we have 2 days till the end of the month. Some of you are on the board and some of you are not yet. Push for it. Push. Let's all commit to inspiring one person. One person this month. I know we only have 2 days, but you can inspire one life in 1 minute. So we can all inspire one person to make changes in their life and to help them, be that friend to reach a hand out and help them. Quick question. How do I live stream from Summit to watch? Should be in the Coach Online office. I've never done that though, but Hannah did it last year. I think there's actually a link, isn't there, Hannah?
I think there was a link inside the when you go to Beachbody page. I think there was a link to watch it. It didn't start right away, like right when you guys started. It didn't start. Like there's a little bit of a lag, but the quality was really good though.
Yeah, and post Summit too, it usually takes about a month or so. All of the videos from all of the keynote speakers will be archived as well because they do record everything. So you'll be able to watch all of the playbacks as well.
I think my mom let me know and she might have given me the place to go. Like they might have said it there too.
Okay, I'll try to keep my eyes out for it, and they might even post something in the, like if you go to CoachSummit.com or whatever, Coach Summit 2017 or whatever the website is to register, it might be there as well.
Yeah, I feel like there was like a special place you had to go to, either on Beachbody.com, like there was a link to some place or something like that.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome.
Yep, no problem. All right. Girls, thank you so much for making this a priority and jumping on. I know summertime is more difficult, but I do appreciate all of you and all of your time. I love you all. And we do have our power hour in the morning, 6 a.m. if anybody is wanting to join. All right, I'll see you all tomorrow morning at 6. Have a good night. Happy birthday, Mom.